Tell me about those water babies.
Well, on our Ute reservation, we got these sun dances that we have every year. And we got this pool right below our shade house, the shade houses that the sun dancers have and families and stuff. And it's a big old pool that we have that all the kids come down. But down the hill you gotta slide down. And there's a big pool that the river meets to. And then there's some slabs. And then it drops down so low. That's where all the kids and adults swim. And then after nighttime, everybody goes back up, enjoys the food, hits the sun dance, stay in their shade houses, stay back, listen, and you can hear babies crying down by the river in that area. So me and my cousins decided to go down to see what it was all about. So we went down there. We seen these 3.5-foot people or babies dressed in moss, all green with no faces, jumping in and out of that little pond area.
And I was asking about the moss. Is the moss a part of them, or are they wearing the moss? What is that? It's something reoccurring. It's kind of freaky. What?
Yeah, I believe so. It's part of them.
So they are part of the moss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you can't see their faces or nothing. It's just all mossed out, and they jump off those little ledges off that part where the river continues to that little pond area, and the pond area continues with the river, and it's so deep. People have seen the deep part of it and believe there is caves underneath the river that connect with the slabs. And we've seen them. They're about 3.5 feet tall, just covered with moss.
And they make noises, right?
Yeah, at night they cry. You can hear them crying like babies. This wah, 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 wah. So it's pretty frightening when you hear them. So we decided to go down there to see, and when we went down there, we seen them maybe 5 minutes, and they were jumping off those things, jumping into the water, in and out.
And I mean, they're climbing up, jumping into the water off those slabs, or what?
Yeah.
Really?
Right before the river hits the pond area, there's big slabs right there where they come out the water, and they go on the slabs and they jump down and below.
How many did you see when you were down there?
We seen maybe 2 or 3 of them.
2 or 3, and you were watching them. Maybe like,
yeah.
They're doing this thing, and they're diving in the water. And then they're coming up making those noises. Amazing.
Yeah, and two of my friends got scared, so we ended up going back up and staying in the shade houses, and we told our uncle about it, and he's like, yeah, there's water babies down there.
Water babies.
And they go all the way down to the river, down towards La Boca in Colorado.
Wow. This is a big chunk of water, too, a big chunk of river that these things have been seen in for centuries, really. I mean, if you go back into the lore and the legends, they have different names for them, and you guys are calling them water babies. They're called other things in lores and legends, but what an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. It gets to you when you start hearing them. It's like you hearing a baby cry, and it's down by the river in the middle of the night.
And I asked you to, you couldn't have discernible arms and legs, or just this big mossy looking something that's moving. No arms and legs to it?
Yeah, we didn't see no arms or legs. We just see nothing but moss on them.
Oh, wow.
And they're about 3.5 feet tall. And they're little guys, and it's pretty scary.
Those ponds and holes will be up there this summer, diving, digging, looking. Thanks. Appreciate you, man. God bless you.
Really nice.
About 3 or 4 miles north of Thompson in southeastern Utah is a place called Sago Canyon. And it's famous for its petroglyph and pictograph panels. Probably the pictograph is more famous And there's 14 standing figures, beautiful multicolored. They call them shamanistic figures. Some of them look like they're aliens from outer space. There's flying spheres, there's birds, there's snakes, there's orbs, there's all manner of mysterious things. And across from this 14 figure panel, maybe 150 yards across the valley, on the other side, are 5 red figures, one of which is hidden behind a rock. And everybody that I've taken up there finds this red figure. He's got horns just like the prototypical devil, and they say bad juju. This guy's bad. And then I take him around the corner, and around the corner from there is an arcane figure, mysterious. He looks like he's holding he's surrounded by dots, and then he looks as if he's holding a lotus blossom or something like that. Very strange. From my studies of petroglyphs, this is a pictograph, and it's faded. It's facing west, and it's slightly in shadow. My studies of these things indicates that when it's surrounded by dots, that means sacred or holy or spiritual.
Yeah.
And so it just has a strange vibe to it. Now I've taken one Ute there and one not Shoshone, Lakota. Both elders. I'm sure, absolutely positive, they don't know one another. And they see this figure, and they say that's not good. It represents the Skinwalker. The 14 figures on the other side of the valley are there, the Watchers. And they were put there to keep the Skinwalker up that canyon and to warn people, don't go up this canyon because there's a Skinwalker up there. Now the next canyon over, according to the Ute that I was with, told me that there's always a Ute elder that's there to keep the Utes from coming down and going over to the other valley. He's there to make sure the Skinwalker does not escape and get down. Now, the story that I got from both of them was, and again, they don't know each other, was that the 5 figures were the family of the one guy that's got bad juju. They were all related, and they're star people, star beings, and that they died, and their spirits all went to this one guy, and he is the Skinwalker. The problem that I have with this story, although I don't disbelieve it, I got it from, like I say, 2 sources. It makes no sense, because the Skinwalker up at the valley, if you continue on that valley, you end up in the Ute reservation, and that's where the Skinwalker Ranch is, where the Skinwalker up there has been harassing the Ute Nation and the people of the Ute Nation and other people for hundreds of years. And if we believe and accept the stories that we're hearing from the people at Bigelow Ranch and the family that was driven off of that land, there's a portal there where star beings come and go. Yet the Skinwalker is trapped, claims he was trapped there because he's communicated with the Ute. And so the mystery deepens in that if he can come and go, why is he trapped? Unless he's fulfilling some type of mission, because the Ute story is that this skinwalker was sent there to curse them because of some wrongdoings that the Ute Nation had done against the Navajo Nation, or a group of Utes had done against a group of Navajos. So if they can come and go, why, I guess he's there to continue to harass. I don't know. But
Yeah, and once again, it's we have an umbrella situation where they group everything together. This isn't necessarily a skinwalker. It's some type of entity. It's some type of something supernatural, and maybe partly in the flesh too, but not necessarily along your standard skinwalker initiation and practice. It's something else, and I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it's what got me was that both the Ute and the Lakota called it a skinwalker and identified that glyph as representing the skinwalker, and those other 5 figures representing his family and their spirits all embodied in this one being entity that's referred to as the skinwalker up there. Both with the same story, yet I know they don't know each other. And I've never heard that story anywhere from anybody else. The walking stick.
Yeah,
the dancing stick.
The walking stick. They used to call it the walking stick because, well, back when we were younger, I know when our parents would go out and stuff like that, back in the late 70s, mid 70s, when I was way young, I remember, you know, my folks or my sisters would talk about that walking stick. I guess it was some kind of a stick that was only like 2 to 3 foot high, and it would come around to people's houses late at night, late at night, early in the morning, like 2, just any time, as long as it was in the dark. It'd come to your house and start tapping on your windows and make people look outside and tap on the windows or tap on the doors, you know, and when you look outside, you would see it walking or dancing in front of you, and then it just slowly I don't know if you would say hop off or stuff like that, but the way it would move was like back and forth, just kind of like, but it really wasn't touching the ground because there's no trail or anything like that. Back when me and my sisters seen it late one night, we heard tapping on the windows, and we opened the doors to look outside, and we turned the porch light on, and there it was, you know, it was right there dancing in front of us. But when it was taking off, it was laughing, and that's what
it made vocalizations. The stick did.
Yeah, it had like a laughing, like a giggling when it was walking its way off. More like a back and forth motion when it was walking off, and it really freaked me out because I never seen nothing like that before. And I've probably seen it one more time a couple years later on, after the very first time I seen it with me and my sisters. And I know my sisters seen it and I seen it, and the second time was just one of my sisters and me, and it was a pretty kind of, I guess, really kind of
that's just
scary.
So surreal.
Yeah, it's just really scary,
animated
kind of,
dancing,
you know, it's kinda,
stick tapping on windows.
It's like something you couldn't believe. And
doors.
It's hard to believe, but I've seen it though. And since then, back then there was no porch lights around here, no street lights. Well, there was porch lights. I mean, there was no street lights. There wasn't too many people that lived around here. It wasn't so populated back then. But nowadays, you know, there's a lot of street lights around, but you still see see things that are hard to